Damn, I always ended early.
When?
Just then, I ended. It always ends a couple of seconds before the boom comes up. But your mic is on. Your mic isn't on, but my mic is on because I haven't introduced you yet.
Oh, I've been kicked to the curb.
So, hey guys, it's me, Down Under Tea, and I'm back with episode 151 of Meet Me in the Bunker. Oh, look, we got snacks. We got KF fucking C.
The Colonel turned up. Hey,
Thanks, Kins.
Hey, Kins, can you grab my phone from my room, please, Dale?
Yep.
Okay.
So, we are just at the beginning of January 2026, February 2026, and we've just celebrated Australia Day here in our continent, our little island here.
Ooh.
And,
It's pretty sad too, I've got to tell you.
well, it was a pretty sad state of affairs, unfortunately. But before we get into that, let me just introduce you to Adam. He's here with me tonight. Here you are. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
And we are both going to have a watch of this documentary, which was presented by Tony Abbott, a former Prime Minister of Australia.
Yes, Bob.
And he was served, I think, for something like 11 years, something like that. No, that was Johnny Howard, sorry.
That was Johnny.
Yep. He served for maybe 6 years or something like that. I think he served a term and a half and got spilled before the next election, from memory. But there was a documentary that he has recently...
He was a pretty well-respected Australian Prime Minister.
Yeah, he sure was.
Because
now,
for those that don't know...
Back in the day.
For those that don't know, we've got a thing here called budgie smugglers, which is a pretty well-known international term for cock jocks, or they're like undies. You know,
Undies, bathers.
Briefs. And good old Tone, he donned the budgie smugglers, didn't he?
He's done a lot of things.
He
The
didn't care.
Kokoda Trail and all of that
Tell
shit.
you what, he's in pretty good nick, Tone. He's in pretty good nick. And I'll tell you another thing he's pretty good at is saying, I mean, he toes the line. He toes the party line. Mm-hmm. This is a Australian Liberal Party line, which is, you know,
Conservative.
a very conservative, mainstream, Australian two-party preferred type mainstream Liberal Party line. However, in more recent times, he's starting to be a little more outspoken, which past Prime Ministers are totally within their right to be outspoken about
Well,
their,
they should
their
be more
country.
outspoken while they're Prime Ministers too. That might help.
Yeah, but, you know, when you're in the job, you're bound by rules.
Well, I think Trump's blown that theory out of the water.
Well, yeah, a little, but you're bound by convention, I suppose, is the best word. Not rules, convention. You're bound by convention. Anyway, Abbott, look, some will love him, some will hate him. I mean, who doesn't love and hate anybody? You could name anyone.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, name an anyone.
At the moment, I hate Bruce Springsteen.
Well,
Probably
like I
won't
say,
like him ever again.
name an anyone. Yeah, it might be an actor, but anyone who's well known for anything, people will like them, people will dislike them.
Which is what I said in my blog, in my opening sort of verbiage was like, it's like celebrating a birthday. even coming down to it, like you can put it down to celebrating a prime minister. Everybody is going to have their own determined feelings about that certain person or that certain event.
Yeah.
Like if it's your birthday,
Yeah.
you might look at it differently than the people celebrating it with you look at it. You might look at it as something sad or happy or...
Well, speaking of birthdays, big shout out today to Cricko,
Oh, yeah.
our brother-in-law.
Which technically it was yesterday.
Well, look, it's still today for me, and it's probably still today for him. He said he might be 9 or 10 Long Island iced teas deep.
No, he's the first of the second, not the second of the second.
Well, it's the first of the second, isn't it?
It's the second of the second.
Well, it was the first when I got up this morning, and it's his 61st birthday, and I wish him all the very best. I've got to tell you, people,
He'll
that
be with us tomorrow.
hopefully he
Get
will
to
be
meet him.
here. He'll be here tomorrow, the special guest of honour. He's got a lot to say generally. He's a car guy. He's a deep-seated Australian muscle car guy.
Okay, we're getting off the subject now.
Well, hang on. No, I've got to pump his tyres up a bit. Pardon the pun. He's a cricket aficionado. His father used to live next door to the great Sir Donald Bradman.
That's
His
true.
sister married Paul Kelly, an Australian poet and songwriter.
Paul Kelly's brother.
Brother. Anyway, Cricko, we love you, mate. Happy birthday. 60-something. He's knocking them dead.
He'll correct me if I'm wrong about that anyway, I'm
Oh,
sure.
he definitely will. He definitely will.
Okay, so why we're here tonight is because, as I said, we just celebrated Australia Day and we've had lots of... it's been a long-standing argument between parties and sides, so to speak, that Australia should be renamed Invasion Day because it's the day that we, came in and jumped off the boats and slaughtered all the Aboriginals that we saw in our sites, which is so untrue. It's it's a fallacy that that's what happened. It wasn't Invasion Day. We didn't jump off the boats and invade.
Well, I believe it was.
Well, hang on. All land is being invaded. America was invaded by...
But for you to say that didn't happen...
No,
I think's wrong.
that's not what I'm saying.
For you to say.
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, you just said it.
No, listen to what I'm saying is when they say
it was a
it's
fallacy.
Invasion Day, yes, because they want to classify January 26 as the day that we jumped off the boats and slaughtered a bunch of Aboriginals, and that's not how it happened at all. It wasn't the basis of how Australia was formed. Australia was formed as a penal colony. The people that came here didn't have a choice but to come here. They were sent here as prisoners.
Yeah, so I believe that those that came here as prisoners did not jump off the boat and slaughter Indigenous Australians. But I do believe the English jumped off the boat and slaughtered Indigenous Australia. I 100% believe that.
Okay. Well,
100% I believe that.
a lot of people believe a lot of wrong things about how Australia was formed, so that's why we're going to watch this documentary.
Yep.
Now, it's a 3-part documentary. Only going to watch the first part. Oh my God, stupid computer. Every day, every time I do a podcast, there's something. So, we're going to watch this documentary, and it's very well presented by old Johnny Abbott. And
Tony Abbott.
Freaking Johnny. I got 2 prime ministers mixed up. Tony Abbott. And then we can pause during it. If you want to pause, just say, oi, pause it, and you can talk about whatever. But we can talk about it afterwards and see if there are any things that you didn't know and I didn't know about the actual forming of this country, and then see if it should really be changed to Invasion Day. Because if you're saying that was Invasion Day, January 26, 1770, whatever it was, 1778.
Yeah, I think if you're 1788, I think if you're
88, sorry.
I think if you're going to try and pinpoint it to all this.
But that's what this movement's trying to do.
Yeah. But hang on. Okay, so there's a few things I need to clarify. historically, Australian children are taught that on January the 26th, 1788, Captain Cook and the First Fleet landed in Botany Bay, Sydney, New South Wales. Okay, that's what I was taught in school. And that was the founding of Australia as I grew up and knew it, as white Australia. What we weren't taught was how they built white Australia, who was here already, and how they integrated. And I would now argue, and a lot of people are going to find this hard words to hear come from my mouth, those that know me, how it was taken. And in the last very, very short time, and I would say 1 month, I have realised or been enlightened a little bit that it was taken in a way that if that happened in this modern time would be seen as disgusting. And I will stand by that.
like Greenland? Greenland?
No, I don't mean Greenland has not been taken.
Well,
Okay, Greenland has not been taken. People have not gone there and slaughtered the people to take it. That has not happened, so no, nothing like Greenland. But,
well, they want to buy Greenland.
well, buying Greenland is different to turning up to Greenland, raping, slaughtering, murdering the tribal people of Greenland to take it from them. That is what happened in Australia, Australis, right? That is what happened in Down Under. Now, I wasn't brought up necessarily to prescribe to that idea, and that's okay. But in a very short time, very recently, I think a penny has dropped for me to realise that no greater man takes no greater land without force. And that is exactly what happened in this country. Now, I don't believe that Australia Day, the 26th of January, necessarily needs to be wiped from our calendar. But I do believe recently a conversation I watched between Pauline Hanson and Anthony Mundine, world champion Australian Indigenous boxer, who's very outspoken on these matters.
I know, I've seen it.
They've sat down and they've spoken, and one of the things that come up was there needs to be a recognition of what did really happen and line that up with a celebration of what we now represent. And I actually think that is a very smart, modern, grown-up approach to what Australia Day represents for most of Australians now. I think we need to recognise that things were done in a way that were, for want of better words, fucking disgusting. Typical POMs.
Well, they've done it everywhere, haven't they?
Yes, and that's a whole different episode. But typical POMs, right? And what modern convict Australia became. Because most white Australians that have got good blackfella mates reckon they're good fellas.
Yeah, well, we have some of
Okay.
those too.
Yes. So
But not all of them ascribe to that.
I know, but I'm just making it known that I'm not a fence sitter, but I'm far more open-minded now than I ever was in my life. So let's watch the doco and see what Tony Abbott's got to say.
Okay, so we're going to play part 1 of Australia, a history.
With the Colonel.
Okay, now let's go back to the beginning.
The study of history, whether it's accidental or deliberate, is hugely important. Our character, our journey, our prospects didn't just spring up yesterday.
Post-1788 is the new Australia. But the new Australia is built on the ancient history.
Long before British settlement, there were rich traditions and deep connection with country.
Just right over here, look.
This was obviously a real sacred spot.
Absolute opposites encountering each other.
People want to know the truth about what happened out there. I don't mind telling them.
The good and the bad has all impacted in its own way on modern Australia.
Freedom, fairness, justice and peace.
What's it like to be a direct lineal descendant of someone who helped to bring about the Commonwealth of Australia?
Certainly very, very proud.
There was trade, there were internal tariff walls.
It's the property of His Britannic Majesty's government.
Please don't tell them.
We're a convict dump made good. We are the most unexpected success story in the modern world.
Welcome back to Government House.
Thank you for having me.
I think we're a mighty democracy. We are representative of a nation that you don't see around the world much anymore.
From the beginning, this has been a land of opportunity.
He wanted a better life for himself and his family.
These were the people who built modern Australia.
No matter how many places everybody comes from, we're all one and we're all Australian.
We are a remarkable country. Had it been anyone else other than the British, circumstances could have been a lot worse.
I'd like to hope that every young person will know more about our history, feel more pride in our country. I'm not saying that our history is perfect. Of course it's not. Let's learn the right lessons from the past and make the most of what we have. In 200 years, Australia has gone from prison colony to one of the world's most successful countries. Testimony is the millions of people who have flocked to live here. We're a country with an Indigenous heritage, a British foundation and an immigrant character. It's a great story, but not enough of us know it. And those that do tend to think that it's more of invasion and dispossession than of living together, working together and succeeding together. So this documentary will trace our story, the good, the bad, the trials, the triumphs. It's a history to be proud of, with great strengths to build on. From sunrise in the east.
This is my country.
Believe
me. Believe me. So this is my country.
Whether you're born here or came here, first class Australian.
Thank you.
To sunset in the west.
Yeah, made Australia home. It's
Very good.
incredible country.
It's a wonderful place. There's a lot of South Africans here in Perth, aren't there? Yeah. A lot of South Africans, a lot of Poms. We need more good people in this country. The 26th of January is a day of celebration.
We love our country and there's no other country like it.
Love Australia. I'm Australian through and through.
Celebrating what Australia's all about, like just everyone just getting together and having a good time.
Freedom, the sun and equality.
I'm a proud Australian and I think we should all celebrate this day.
Increasingly, as I travel around the country, I talk about us as a mighty country. I think we are a mighty place. I think we're a mighty democracy. We are increasingly a representative of a nation that you don't see around the world much anymore.
And I just want you to reflect for a moment on that journey that you have been on. Because today, you've made it.
For many, It's also a time to call Australia home.
Now, we live in the best country in the world. Who agrees with me? Yeah. Come on, give it up for Australia.
It's a great country. It is the best in the world. I always meant it when I said it, because there is a decent balance about Australian society that's hard to find in other countries.
More than 20,000 people.
So how important is the citizenship? Super important. Like it's, of course, like you just feel like you're more part of the community now.
From over 150 countries.
Basically, it's for the future of our kids as well, like we get the right to vote.
Pledged their commitment to Australia on this day. Congratulations, welcome aboard.
Mr. Hong, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Big one, yeah, well done.
Mrs. Varashi Pradiptopka.
So wherever you've come from, your story is now our story, just as our story is now your story too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I think Australia is an extraordinary and special country. The history of our country is one of extraordinary achievement on this continent where one's consciousness is formed by the physical world. The light, the beach, the sea, the bush, the landscape, all this is fundamental to the Australian character.
Do a quick check.
That's good, thank you. Come on in.
It's good. Just a camera. Thank you.
Yep.
And clap it. You happy, guys?
Anyone with the right to live in Australia has indeed won the lottery of life. And I guess that first came to me when I was Prime Minister. I think I was trying to prepare some remarks for Australia Day, and I was trying to say something that I knew would resonate with Australians. And we all know that to have won a lottery is to have been very lucky indeed. Now, the lucky country is now a cliche, but I reckon to have won the lottery of life is still a pretty good way to describe life in Australia.
My wife and I are delighted to be able to return to Australia at this very special time to celebrate with you your nation's bicentennial.
The true spirit of Australia Day was perhaps best summed up by the Prime Minister of the time, Bob Hawke.
This is a day of commemoration. Even more important, it is a day of commitment. In Australia, there is no hierarchy of descent. There must be no privilege of origin. The commitment is all. Our commitment to Australia and to Australia's cause, the cause of freedom, fairness, justice and peace.
By now, almost every country on earth is the old country to some family in Australia. Coming from your first old country and celebrating the 22nd anniversary to the month of my first transportation to Australia, let me say on behalf of all the lands and peoples who have contributed to your heritage that you have the best of us. Australia is its own creation, but in a very real sense, it belongs to the world.
I think the most important thing for us as a country is to better understand where we're coming from and where we've been. How important is a good understanding of Australian history to making the most of the future?
I think the study of history, whether it's accidental or deliberate, is hugely important. You have to understand that our character, our journey, our prospects didn't just spring up yesterday. It arrives because you understand how things happened, what happened, why it happened, what was the effect afterward. History is huge.
When modern Australia began in 1788, it didn't emerge in a vacuum. Modern Australia involved the collision of two worlds, the ancient Aboriginal one and the modern British one. Over time, they would blend into what has become arguably the world's most successful immigrant nation. As an Aboriginal person, you want to preserve Aboriginal culture. As a champion Australian sports person, you're a proud Australian as well. And how does being a proud Aboriginal person and a proud Australian coexist?
Well, pre-1788 is all of this. Post-1788 is the new Australia. But the new Australia is built on the ancient history. When non-Indigenous people recognise us as the first people, you don't lose your 250 years. You gain 60,000 years. And that's how we coexist. It's about valuing each other, respecting each other. Absolutely, we can coexist.
Australia's story begins some 60,000 years ago with the Aboriginal people, the world's oldest culture. Long before British settlement, there were rich traditions, trade routes, and deep connection with country. As we travel through this vast landscape, we can sense that spirit which still shapes our future.
Tjukurpa, or dreaming, is about our creation stories, about the morals, the ethics, the law for us to live by, is about our connection to country. It underpins the whole of society for us. And it talks about creation and how that came about. And so the whole of the land to us is significant, is sacred in one way, shape or form or another.
This is Arnhem Land, the vast and rugged eastern corner of the Northern Territory, country that's rich in Aboriginal history.
Well, as a Binning woman, I'd always heard the stories of the Yingana, our creation mother. The story was that she came out of the Arafura Sea, and then as she walked onto the land, she created all of Binning's life forms, from the animals to the rocks to the children to everything. So she is our creation mother, and she's quite protected. Shows the sacredness of this.
And this is Injalak Hill, a site of deep cultural and ancestral importance. How long did you do this climb, John?
It can take up to 2-3 hours.
Well, it's a way of staying fit, mate, eh?
Yep.
It's known for its ancient rock art and artefacts, some dating back thousands and thousands of years.
See on the rock here?
Mm-hmm.
Grinding hole, this one.
Gotcha. This is incredibly smooth, this rock, isn't it?
They used to grind ochre.
Right, okay.
Red ochre, yellow one, white one. Mix it
with human blood or animal blood, but we used to use hair for brush back then. We used to put them in a twig, mix it up. Even with the kangaroo or wallaby fat, they use it to mix with the ochre, and then it becomes nice and hard and sticky. And then get the brush and then do a little painting.
Before Australia was divided up into states and territories, it was a land made up of hundreds of Aboriginal clans, all with their own stories to tell.
Just right over here, look, Tony. Can you see it?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, like, again, maybe like 900 or 1,000 years plus. Mimi, the spirit, gave us knowledge. How to paint like this, how to hunt. And songline, dancing, just from the Mimi.
So they've chipped the rock back to give it a different colour.
Yep.
And they've done all that with those ochres.
Yep.
Yeah. It's amazing it's lasted so long, isn't it?
Yeah.
For us, in traditional terms, what we believe is that the land was flat and featureless in the beginning. Creator ancestors came down from the sky or up out of the ground, and they travelled the land, and they sung it into being. And as they travelled, they left their spiritual essence in the ground. And when they were done, they either went back into the ground or up into the sky. Knowing those stories also gave us a map of our country in order to survive in it.
Now we're going to go up.
Okay.
The last climb.
The voices and stories of ancient Australia can be found in the rock art. There are some 100,000 sites across our country, and seeing them is well worth the effort.
Again, that female here.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Some over there.
Of course, yeah.
Right here. Another animal here could be the goanna.
Right, okay, yep.
Yeah, goanna. But just that all the water, you know, that came down, flushing it away, washing it away.
The way I was brought up was that it didn't matter whether you are Aboriginal. If you are conceived on this country, the baby spirit has leapt from the ground into your mother's belly, giving you a spiritual connection to this country. That's what I was brought up with.
This is the first gallery, see? And all the rock is still smooth here too, look.
This was obviously a real sacred spot.
Yeah.
So the artists obviously climbed up there and did their work?
Yes, up there.
That's really special. Do we have an idea as to what period this art is from?
All right, so could be dating back 50 or 60.
Right, so the oldest ones could be 50,000 years old. Yeah.
Got some kangaroo, crocodile, echidna, goanna a little bit.
Some of them are very ornate. Some of them are much simpler. For instance, that echidna.
Yep. Yes, and other than that, everybody was here sitting around, but all
painting away.
Painting away.
It is pretty special. Thank you, John. Thinking about Australia in general, your experience, the experience of the people who you've mixed with, what would you make of the good and the bad of our story?
So I think in all life, there is the good and the bad. What makes us a great nation is that the freedom that we have here. So you've got to realise that you can't be stuck in an ancient world. Cultures evolve, us as Aboriginal people involved. And in order to get to one good world, it's the mutual love and respect for each other.
After the break,
where a convict dump made good.
This was old street level, so this was your last walk out of the UK.
What have convicts given us? There's a sense of egalitarianism, a sense of disrespect for authority and larrikinism, and I think that was carried in to the Anzac tradition.
Our colonial story began here, in England. It's a cold winter's day in London, and I'm heading for a warm pub by the River Thames. G'day, Anthony.
Good day.
You better give me some of the original.
Original it is, my friend.
It was once a stepping stone into our colonial history.
So, Anthony, this is built on top of the old Millbank prison?
Well, this was built for the wardens of the prison.
Right, so was this the governor's house, this one?
Yeah, it was always a pub, so it's
Right.
always been there for the drinkers, but also, yeah, some of the governors lives upstairs. But this was...
Anthony Blake pulls beers at the Morpeth Arms.
So, Anthony, what's beneath our feet here?
Underneath us were the tunnels that connected the prison to this pub. They would actually take the prisoners through those tunnels.
So, the prisoners of Mother England would leave England here and get to Australia and forever after be known as Pommies.
Pommies.
Millbank Penitentiary is where many a convict was held before being shipped out to the colonies. The prison is long gone, but the tunnels used to move the prisoners are still there.
People thought they were cells, but they were never that. It was about transporting, not keeping people in here for any length of time. This was old street level, so this was your last walk out of the UK. You're coming from the prison to the boats, and then you're going to Australia. They were taking about 8,500 people a year at their height. Yeah. We have a list of some of the prisoners upstairs. Some of the crimes they're being sent for was nothing. 7 years for stealing a loaf of bread, and once you had 7 years, they were automatically allowed to deport you.
Whatever problems modern Australia has, it is almost certainly the most successful exercise in penal rehabilitation the world has ever seen.
I'll take that.
From this very spot on the Thames, tens of thousands of convicts took ship for what was to become Australia. It was a harsh and uncertain journey. It was a story of suffering and resilience. But from such unpromising beginnings arose a great nation. Life in England at the time was tough. The Industrial Revolution had led to high unemployment and overflowing prisons.
You had all sorts of social problems, so they've started by sending these convicts to America. But after the American Independence War, that dried up. They couldn't do it. So they put them in old ships anchored. The disease rate was appalling.
Australia became an option, both as a penal colony and a strategic outpost.
And then you had those colonial powers, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Dutch, the French and the English, still exploring, still settling. And so, one, they were able to get rid of the surplus convicts. Two, they were still empire building. And that's basically how the First Fleet came about. And the idea was that after about a year, the colony would become self-sufficient.
Where a convict dump made good. We are the most unexpected success story in the modern world. We begin as a place with the least desirable elements of another society, dumped on the other side of the world and being forced to make a go of it. And from there, within 7 decades, we are one of the most prosperous places in the world, with a massive spread of wealth and just opportunity. We're one of the first self-governing democracies in the world, and it's quite extraordinary.
I try to think of what it would have been like for the 1,500 souls on board the First Fleet coming into this harbour all those years ago. Apprehension, anticipation, relief. I don't think anyone can ever get tired of a harbour like this. I'm sure that being here would have excited even in them
feeling of hope. The First Fleet took just over 250 days to reach our shores. It was a mammoth journey, 17,500 nautical miles through perilous waters, and with only the stars as a guide.
The most important thing is actually having the information of where that star is on any given day at any given time. So at noon in Greenwich, you need to know where that star is relative to the surface of the Earth.
For the people in the First Fleet, it must have been just almost like going to Mars, almost.
Yeah, that's exactly what you would compare it to. That's another world, not a different planet. I mean, you look at this harbour, how this would have looked to an Englishman with no buildings, just trees and rocks.
And the Australian wildlife. It was the strangest of all known parts of the globe. And here, captured at the time by the convict artist Richard Brown. On board 11 tall ships were some 1,500 souls, including about 800 convicts and about 500 Marines.
The big advantage they had was a lot of people. Yeah. And they were incredibly skilled. So the midshipmen would have started when they were Ayers.
Really? That?
Oh, yeah.
They were actually that young?
They were basic. That was school. That was boarding school. You know, and some of them, I'm sure some of them were younger. If you were the son of a captain or the son of a bosun, you would be potentially even born at sea.
Convicts were just over half of the First Fleet, and the ratio of male prisoners to female, 3 to 1.
The beauty of the early convict years is there was a government plan in Whitehall, and it was completely inapplicable on the ground and completely ignored. The government plan was dump these convicts on the other side of the world, these pickpockets and sheep stealers and highwaymen and shoplifters, give them some hose and some seed, and they will become self-sufficient peasants. And they'll be quite happy and grateful, and we can just leave them there. And of course, that's not what happened.
No, human beings are human beings. Yeah, they
From
want
the jump.
to get ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
From the very beginnings, that writ didn't apply. And so over the first 10, 20 years, you have not just military officers seeking to get ahead and make fortunes, but convicts and ex-convicts setting up as entrepreneurs, as tradesmen. If you were a good carpenter and you arrived in Sydney and the governor was needing some work done, you were given a ticket of leave the day after you arrived. You were just made free. And that was the logic of this place. And it didn't respect plans from London, and it didn't respect rigid distinctions.
This is obviously a story about Australian history, and modern Australian history starts with the First Fleet.
Yes.
You're both the descendants of First Fleeters.
Yes.
So, Carrie-Anne, tell us about your First Fleet ancestors.
Well, I have 3. John Small is the most interesting character, really, because he had actually been a Marine for the British on the losing side in the American War of Independence. And so they were demobbed after the British lost, put on the streets, and my ancestor got together with a few others and became a highwayman. Not very successfully. Not very successfully at all.
So he was a losing Marine, and then he was a losing highwayman. Yep.
And there are about 4 or 5 of them, and one was pardoned, one was hung, and the others were transported.
And then what happened?
Well, he raised a family, and I'm descended from the youngest son.
Okay.
But this is the Small family, which, if you remember, in the 80s, there was the margarine ad for Meadow Lee, and they had the Small family being the largest family in Australia.
Oh, wow.
I'm one of them.
Oh, fantastic. So the Small family's very big.
Yes, it's huge.
It's actually, they think, approaching 30,000 identified descendants.
Staggering, isn't it?
Yeah. What have convicts given us? Obviously, there's a sense of egalitarianism, a sense of a sort of disrespect for authority to a certain degree, and larrikinism. And I think that was carried in to the Anzac tradition in Gallipoli and the Western Front.
I think that what happened on the 26th of January 1788 was a wonderful thing. And yet there is a modern tendency to look back on that day not as a great beginning, but as in some way a fraught, even a shameful moment. What are your thoughts?
We were going to be colonised. It's probably an advantage that it was the English.
Could you imagine if we were perhaps colonised by someone else, like the Portuguese or the Spanish or the French or anyone? The indigenous people and so many of the peasantry would have been essentially slaves. Whereas in this country, the convicts came out here, yes, they were convicts and they were doing penal servitude, but there was the opportunity for them, once their time was up, to make a go of things and have a second chance in life. And I think that's a really important foundation of Australian life and Australian society. And today, we should be celebrating that, the starting of this very, very bold enterprise to make a new society, a new, very fair society.
These foundations began with the first Governor of New South Wales, Arthur Phillip.
Phillip's two big achievements was survival and fairness. Survival of the colony, they could have starved in the first couple of years. Things were not going well. Fairness, he's the guy who insists from the jump that convicts and soldiers and officers are going to be given equal rations. They're going to be treated equally by the law. They're going to be punished equally if they break the law. Now, it didn't have to be like that, but because of Phillip, it was like that.
I think those early circumstances and the beginnings by Phillip and reinforced by great successes of his, particularly Macquarie, the idea that everybody ought to be equal, and I don't think the early governors, particularly Phillip, are given enough credit for enforcing this egalitarian treatment of people as they deserve.
Governor Arthur Phillip and governors following on from him took the view that, no, we will be establishing something different to what the United Kingdom was. It's so remarkable, it's something to be celebrated, and that we need to understand that even if it had been another group that had come to Australia, if it had been the French or anybody else, it was inevitable. It was inevitable, and change is painful.
The oldest culture suddenly came into sharp contact with what was probably the most modern, the most scientific, the most dynamic culture in the world at that time.
Absolutely. So you got that sharp edge of these absolute opposites encountering each other. But by the same token, humans are humans, and there's commonalities and there's reciprocal responses. And you see that in the very first encounters with the first fleet's arrival and the first settlements at Port Jackson.
Arthur Phillip left England with instructions from on high.
Instructions from well-beloved Arthur Phillip Esquire, Governor of New South Wales. You are to endeavour by every possible means to open an intercourse with the natives and to conciliate their affections, enjoining all our subjects to live in amity and kindness with them. Lord Sydney, Secretary of the Home Department.
They treated them very well, and I think the edict from on high was that they should do that. And that's the important thing to remember. If you read the instructions given to Phillip.
To live in amity with the native people.
Exactly. Now, I mean, if you say that, that's the Tory High Command making it up. Well, they're not making it up, it's there.
You also have clear evidence of mutual rapport being built up between the local Indigenous groups and local settlers. Less so between the convicts and the Indigenous, more so in between, say, educated officers and the like, who are more geared to appreciate the total difference of culture that they're being confronted with. It's not all catastrophe.
No.
It's not all violence from the jump.
In November 1789, 2 Eora men were captured and taken to the colonial settlement. Kalibi escaped, but Bennelong would form an extraordinary relationship with Governor Phillip.
Philip, when he came here, he was under instructions. His specific instructions were not to harass or to harm the local people.
To live in amity
the native
with the
people,
native
they called
people.
it, to live in amity with them. So it wasn't a direction to destroy them. They wanted to have peaceful relationships.
There can be no slavery in a free land and therefore no slaves.
That's right. And you think even about the incident that happened at Manly when one of Bennelong's friends shoved a spear through Philip's shoulder. Could you imagine?
No punitive expedition.
Exactly.
He took it as a misunderstanding.
Philip wrote home to say, oh, the relationship is much better now, though they have treated me rather roughly by shoving a spear through my shoulder.
Only a seasoned military officer could say that.
But can you imagine what a genocidal government would have done under those circumstances if the leader of the government had been speared by one of the Indigenous people?
Not all of the early settlers were as benign towards Aboriginal people, but it was a humane, enlightened decency that informed many of the key people. They sensed even then that they were founding something that was going to be so much more than just a penal colony. Still to come.
It was the first time that white people had been charged over the murder of black people, and it was ultimately the triumph of justice over racist brutality.
Here, through the eyes of convict artist Joseph Lycett,
now I'm going to put my glasses on,
is a glimpse of the growing colony.
Published in London, 1824.
You start to have the very rapid, dramatically rapid expansion into the grasslands of Australia. By historic irony, that is made possible because of tens of thousands of years of Aboriginal fire stick farming. The cultivation of grasslands meant that you had hundreds of thousands of acres perfect for running sheep and cattle, and that's not controlled and decided by the government. That's driven by ordinary men and women who want to make a go of it or who want to settle down. And it is one of the most dramatic territorial expansions that's ever occurred anywhere in human history.
It was in the very early 1800s that the colony, then called Van Diemen's Land, was established first at Hobart and then at Launceston. It actually was remarkably successful in its early days. Farming spread rapidly into the interior of Tasmania. That was really the first place where the settlers and the first Australians came into serious conflict. The attitude of the governor was that the Aboriginal people needed to be treated fairly and decently. This is a colonial era proclamation from Tasmania. It's graphic, but the message is very clear. Under British law, settlers and Aboriginal Australians were to be treated equally, and violence by either side would be punished. Hundreds of these pictorial notices were distributed throughout the colony.
That's the basic setting for pretty much all the frontier conflict that then ensues.
We have to accept that this is the clash of two very different mindsets. This is the clash of two very different cultures, and inevitably what seemed right and reasonable to British eyes did not seem right and reasonable to Indigenous eyes, but there was a fairly consistent high-mindedness and a genuine desire to try to do the right thing by Aboriginal people, even if it sometimes seems highly paternalistic, even exploitative and racist. But at least at the official level, it was an attempt to do the right thing.
One of the young colony's most successful governors was Lachlan Macquarie. But from the outset, his leadership was tested by an often fraught relationship with the Indigenous people.
Macquarie faced those problems right from the start of his term as governor, but he tried to turn things around immediately. He was one of the very first governors to really promote the idea of friendship towards the Aboriginal people and to perhaps teach them European ways as a way of improving their lives and to making sure that they did have futures in what was becoming a European society.
When Macquarie arrives, at that time, you're beginning to have substantial expansion of settlements. And so over a few years, the settlements population is dramatically going up. You've got new people arriving, you've got people choosing to set up farms, and they're choosing to set up farms at the most fertile places they can find, where there's water courses and so forth, which is obviously the densest places of Indigenous population as well. You can try and slice and dice that any way you want. You can maintain as good relations as you can, but fundamentally, there's two different orders. There's two different societies that are seeking and laying claim to the same place.
What's your thought about what contemporary historiography tends to call the frontier wars, but that I would prefer to call frontier conflict?
Sure. My view is to have a war, to have a frontier war, you need the established government of the nation or the state to declare it and to conduct it and to drive it. And that's not what happened in Australia. What you have in Australia is conflict that is essentially driven by settlers of a prodigiously expanding settlement.
By the 1830s, the area of settlement was expanding by the size of Ireland every year. The British government was only too well aware of the dangers facing Aboriginal people and issued stern instructions that the dispersal of local people had to stop. But on the frontier of settlement, all too often, the good intentions of London were ignored.
I'm on my way to Myall Creek in northern New South Wales. I want to visit the site of one of the very darkest chapters in our nation's history. This is Nathan Blacklock. The Tinga Tigers, are they still playing?
Yeah, they're still going.
He became a household name, competing at the highest level in professional sport. Older brother Clayton is an Aboriginal outreach worker.
Pretty much rounded them all up and round about the place here.
And for them, coming back here is never easy.
You just got to still yourself, still your mind, still your spirit. To hear and feel what has happened here is very heartbreaking and still hurts.
Here, in this place, one of the worst moments in Australian history.
In June 1838, some 28 Aboriginal men, women and children slaughtered in cold blood by a party of stockmen. It was absolutely horrific. It was utterly unwarranted. Nathan, your ancestor was one of the survivors, is that right?
Yeah, our great-great-great-grandfather was one of the young kids that, escaped.
The Blacklocks have a direct connection to the Myall Creek massacre.
When you come out, you can actually feel the energy, you can feel it.
On this day in June of 1838, a group of 11 armed mounted stockmen led about 28 Aboriginal men, women and children away from the huts where these Aboriginal people had been camped, where they were brutally murdered by sword and by being trampled on by horses. Then organised for the bodies to be burnt to try and hide the evidence of what had happened. Now, unbeknown to the white armed stockman, one of the two Aboriginal employees on the station followed at a distance, hidden in the bush, and actually witnessed the massacre.
People want to know the truth about what happened out there. I don't mind telling them.
This is local elder Auntie Sue Blacklock, mother to Clayton and Nathan.
It was my great-great-grandfather and uncle that got away, that ran to Kira Station, and that's where they found refuge.
Thanks to that eyewitness account, within a few weeks, news of the massacre reached Governor George Gipps in Sydney.
Governor Gipps gave instructions to conduct an investigation to arrest perpetrators if he could and bring them to Sydney to face justice.
The prosecution at the trial was led by Attorney General John Plunkett.
He saw this as an opportunity to show that British law was there to protect everybody. Everybody was equal before the law, no matter what their religion, no matter what their race. So it went to trial. It was a highly controversial trial. Most of white colonial society was horrified that these men had been put on trial when most of colonial society thought they were just doing what the landowners wanted them to do. They were protecting the pastoral interests of the colony. So most of the newspapers, the military, the landowners, the emancipated convicts were all against it.
Here's an excerpt from a Sydney Herald from that time. We say to the colonists, since the government makes no adequate exertion to protect you, protect yourselves. The editorial goes on to say, do to them as you would to any white robbers or murderers. Shoot them dead if you can.
11 men were tracked down and charged over the massacre of some 28 Aboriginal men, women and children. Despite a strong case, the jury refused to convict, but the Attorney General, John Plunkett, didn't give up. He brought fresh charges against 7 of the men who were ultimately convicted and, despite settler outrage, subsequently hanged. It was the first time that white people had been charged over the murder of black people, and it was ultimately the triumph of justice over racist brutality.
What does that say about British justice at its best?
I think it shows that British justice was able to show that it was there to protect everyone at the time. Plunkett hoped that it would discourage future massacres. What it really did was it sent them underground. So it didn't stop the massacres. The massacres went on.
Some academics claim that there were over 400 massacres around the country, but almost none of them were as well documented as Myall Creek. There's no doubt frontier life was brutal and dangerous. That violence was rarely punished, and the last known massacre took place at Coniston in the Northern Territory as recently as 1928.
It wasn't systematic, it wasn't planned, it wasn't government authorised, and governors consistently, once conflict started to inevitably build, did everything they could to try and stop that.
In our country's history, there's so much more that we can learn. And yes, let's talk about the terrible things that occurred, because we need to learn about all of that. And we need to understand that our country's foundations were based on equality. We are a remarkable country because of the way that our history has played out. And circumstances could have been a lot worse for Australia's first people had it been anyone else other than the British.
For more than 2 centuries, people have been coming from around the world to share this ancient continent with the first Australians. It hasn't been easy. There's been misunderstanding, injustice and violence. But over time, respect and understanding has grown to produce something quite remarkable, a country that is free, fair and full of promise. Our history is complex, but we can't build a future that's divided. Our challenge and our opportunity is to build a country where we can all walk forward together, proud of what's been achieved and of all we should still become. In the next episode of Australia, A History. And in that moment, a new nation, Australia, was born.
He just wanted a better life for himself and his family.
Don't be nervous, mate.
It's a great country, giving everyone a fair go.
Lovely to see you.
Australia opened its doors for us and accepted us, gave us the opportunity to rebuild.
Their courage, their resilience and their faith in the future laid the foundations of the country we've become.
It's lovely that she welcomes you here today.
And there you have it. Let's go back to this one. So, did you learn anything new?
Yeah, I think so. I think what they tried to, and listened quite quietly and didn't interject often.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to, or did you want to listen?
Oh, a couple of times. One thing I remember saying it's a country for the whole world. That when Charles said, "Oh, Australia's a place for the whole world to have," and I said, "Like fuck, it is."
Well, there you go.
But
and that's the way.
But the thing is,
we're feeling at the moment in Australia.
But you got to think. I guess at the time and era when that was said,
everything was being done legit.
What was happening?
Well, our immigration wasn't out of control back then.
But that's taken a very official line from all of the I think even Tony said himself was that the official documents that is all they're going to ever go by, apart from those witness statements about the Myall Creek massacre, was that the government of the era was all for equality for
Yeah.
You know, and I take that with a shovel full of salt.
Well, I mean, it was repeated. It wasn't just something that was said in, like, dream time. Not being facetious or anything, but, like, when what you were just saying. So it was said in the beginning that Philip wanted, by decree, there was supposed to be an amicable relationship between the Indigenous people and the settlers.
Yeah, and that's all good and well to have that as the historic record.
Well, the history is always written by the winners, but the history is always written by the winners. But in saying that, again, go back to what they were saying. Jacinta Price said it herself. It was inevitable that this country was going to be colonised. Yeah. And who would you have rather have taken charge of that?
Yeah, and I don't know. Like, to be honest, to be 100% honest.
Well, imagine if the Huns got here first, or
that's not
Vlad the Impaler or something.
Yeah, but that's none of those are even considered to be mentioned. They're saying the Portuguese, the Spanish,
no, I know,
or the French.
Well, it's just a hypothetical.
But it's not, because it's the Portuguese, the Spanish, or the French. So who does know what they would have done, or how they would have done it? Really, I don't know.
Well, what they're saying, what they're saying,
they're probably.
What they're saying
would have happened.
Well, what they're saying is those three options. Go have a look at what their life was like back then when they could have possibly been the conquerors.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't
so
know.
It was obviously a lot worse. They didn't have any sort of formation like the French. The French, freaking hell, they were like off with their heads, let them eat cake.
Honestly, I don't know in 1788 what the Spanish, the Portuguese, or the French were doing comparatively to the English to have come and colonised.
Well, I mean, it's easy enough to find out. So basically,
I don't know. Like, it's easy to say. Oh, can you imagine how worse it would have been? Yeah, or you could imagine how worse it would have been if the aliens landed. You know, like,
that could still happen.
Yeah. But so I don't really know.
Never say never.
How worse it could have been. You know.
Well, nobody knows.
No.
Obviously, nobody knows.
Yeah, but that's what everyone says.
But
that's
what they're going by when they say those places is go by what I just said. Go by the history of how those places were at that time that they could possibly have conquered Australia.
And I don't really know.
Well, you have to go into the history of it.
And
that's just another bit of in-depth research that you either do or you don't do.
Yeah, and I've never done
just
it.
go by their word. Well, these days it's easy to do that research. You just type it into AI. Grok or any of these chat GPTs or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just type it in and then it'll come up with a relatively close answer.
Look, I'll tell you what I do like. I do like that a former Australian Prime Minister has, like, shown the fortitude to even consider doing what we just watched.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, well done, Tony Abbott.
Well, there's another two parts for that as well.
And we'll probably watch them the next couple of days. But like but I still feel like it's towing not a party line, but it's towing a colonialistic line of.
Well,
this is what we did.
I disagree.
I
disagree, but that's right, because anyone that's got any common sense that looks back on a modern city of today, anywhere in the world, and then you go back 200 years and see or go back in, say, in France's case, go back 4,000 years and see what they had to do to get France.
I think that's one of the like monumental differences.
All land is conquered.
Yeah, but that's one of the
Aboriginals,
most monumental differences.
I believe. Here's what I believe. I believe if the Aboriginals,
it's only two centuries.
I believe that if the Aboriginals had the ability and the means to conquer, they would have.
Well, they were quite happy just living their way.
Well, were they? There's always somebody that's not happy, even in a tribal religion, like a tribal setting like that.
But they didn't know any different.
They used to
then-
fight each other.
Yeah.
So what's to say they
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
say, right, fucking done with this joint. Let's build a boat and go to frickin', I don't know, south of the South Asian islands or whatever, and Indonesia.
Well, it was
right, and conquer them.
Well, the thing was, it was all about survival, and Australia and the landscape offered them everything they needed, so they just stayed. Big country.
Yes, but you can't.
It's like a big country.
But I'm just saying, even within the tribal system as it was itself, there was still conflict.
Oh,
there was
100%.
conflict because one
100%.
tribe wanted to take over the land of another tribe.
Yeah, they'd fight. 100%. They would.
So
Well,
there's always conflict. There's always slaughters. I'm sure
Yeah.
if you go back in time, far enough, you'll find records some way how the Aboriginals used to make their records of
Well, it was
slaughters.
stories. It was the stories.
Slaughters between tribes.
Yeah.
Where one tribe eliminated the other. You
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
about it in American Indian
Yeah.
stories as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
They used to kill each other for land.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is.
But this is not about that at all. This whole story
No.
is not about
It
that.
is. It is
No,
to a
it's
degree
it's
because
nothing about
it is to a degree
No,
because
I
the
disagree.
invasion people are trying to justify it as what you said. Oh, we were just sitting here minding our own business, then everyone tried to take us over.
Yep.
Right? But it's like the really big slaughters, even as they said, the really big slaughtering started in 1838, not 1788. So why is it associated with that landing? Why is it associated with 70? Why don't they make June of 1838 Invasion Day?
Yeah, well, I think that...
Or Slaughter
Well,
Massacre Day or whatever.
Again, it's a shovel full of salt. It's a 992 bucket load of salt that the first recorded official major problem was 100 years after... sorry. But was it nearly 100 years after, 60 years after the first landing? Yeah, I just, that's a hard pill to swallow. According to that thing we just watched, 1838, July 1838, was the Mile Creek Massacre, where 11 stockmen took it upon themselves to slaughter 28 men, women and children.
Yes.
I find it hard to believe that between 1788 and 1838, that is the only
No, but
official
that's what I'm saying.
problem.
No, that wasn't the only official problem, but the official British etiquette was, or edict was, that we have to get along in amity with the the traditional landowners or whatever they call themselves back then. But what I'm saying is,
but you'd actually do that.
okay, but you're going to get that in any society, within their own societies, within the British society.
But the issue is not that you're going to get it in any society. The issue is that's getting talked about in the modern world is that it was happening, and it did happen, a lot more than what the official line says it happened. That's the thing. You can bang on all day.
And I agree with that.
It does happen.
And I agree with that. And I said that I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, this is about them wanting to rename 1788, January 26, 1788.
As Invasion Day.
As Invasion Day.
And I think if you, I think if you were a black fella living here, and your stories got passed down through your lineage, probably would consider it that.
Yes, but the invasions were happening before and after that. So, not the invasions, the slaughters were happening before and after that.
Yeah,
the official landing was 1788, right?
Yep.
But
according to
Australia had been circumnavigated before. People may or may not have landed on the shores of Australia before Captain Cook landed, is what I'm saying. So the chances are, if we dig deep enough into history, dig deep enough into the Portuguese history, into the whatever Spanish history, blah, 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 there might be instances of the Portuguese landed here and started the slaughter. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well,
it has to
I
be...
feel like on the West Coast that is exactly what happened.
Yes, but
The
I'm
Dutch.
just, well,
Yeah.
that's, but there you go. So why is it, when did that happen? That happened in 1600 and something.
Not sure.
So why don't they try and call that Invasion Day when the first actual people landed on Australia? Why blame the British and people that are living here now that are second and third generation Australians?
I am.
We have one day,
Mate,
right? Here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We have one day a year to celebrate loving our country, which a lot of people are not feeling, I have to be honest with you, at the moment. A lot of people are not loving our country at the moment under the
Yeah, and it's not because of this.
No,
They're not
it's,
loving
no,
it.
they're not. It's not. It's because of the way it's been run by the current administration and the laws that they've enacted or are trying to enact. But
I'm just focusing on this topic.
Yes,
and having more of an understanding of.
But we do have an understanding.
Well-
We do understand that bad things happen to them. We understand all of that.
Yeah.
Was bloody, what's his name? Who was it? It wasn't Bob Hawke. Frickin' Kevin 07 got up on the world stage and said, "We're sorry." And what did that do? That wasn't enough to appease them. They opened up a ton of lawsuits just to like say, no, right, now we've got proof because the Prime Minister of Australia said they're sorry for attacking us and invading us and this. Now they have justification, right? Now, what's say might have happened if we're going to play, you know, the what if game? What if the British came here and peacefully removed them and put them all in Tasmania, just gathered them all up throughout Australia and put them on a boat and sent them over to Tasmania and they could all fight over that land, right? And we conquered this land, yes, right? But nobody died. Could they have still called it Invasion Day or Massacre Day? Could they have still said, oh, we were murdered and slaughtered? This is what I'm saying. Yes, history is always written by the winners, right? But on both sides, there are critics of how things were done. There are critics on the side, white Australian side, that say we shouldn't have been shipped here as convicts in the first place. That was malfeasance on the part of the Brits.
Yeah.
That was what's the word I'm looking for? Like illegitimate. No, when they charge you really badly, so like people came here because they stole a loaf of bread. They were forced to come here. What's the word when they overcharge you for something? Like egregiously.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know what you're trying to say.
Egregiously
but I don't know the word.
punished
Yeah, I don't know
for
the
it.
word.
So the punishment doesn't fit the crime type of thing, right? Like if you murdered 20 people and then they said, okay, well, look, you know, we've given you 20 chances or we gave you a few chances,
Yeah,
we're
I
going
know-
to send
I
you
know
over
what you're
there,
trying to say, yeah.
right?
Yeah, but
So there are people
I
that
don't
disagree with
understand
all
the
of
point.
that sort of stuff too. But all I'm saying is history is history. It's our history whether we want to embrace it or not.
Yeah, yeah.
And nobody on
think it
one
just-
side wants to embrace it at all. They just want to make it a
Yeah.
hateful place, and it's not. And Tony Abbott just gave me that insight that years ago, like not 100 years or 200 years ago, but like 80 years ago, we were all living together. We were all living together. We had gotten past the rabbit-proof fence and the stolen generation and all of that stuff.
Yes,
we were
yeah.
moving along in life. Black
Yeah.
people had it better. White people had it better. The stolen generation, even to a point, irks me because We might have stolen them from their families, but what did we do? We brought them into white families and we gave them a white upbringing, and they learnt to go to school, and then they learnt to go to university, and then they learnt to go to law school, and then they turned around and started suing the people that helped them get there. You know, there's always a backbite to everything.
It's a pretty small minority that happened to, but look.
Well, not according to some people. You'd think it was the whole frick.
No.
Yeah, but you talk to some people and they'll tell you that the whole goddamn Aboriginal race was affected
No.
by the stolen generation.
Going to university and suing that would be the smallest minority of anything.
Yeah, but it only takes the smallest minority to represent a large minority.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you get class actions.
Well, look, the thing is, it is what it was.
That's exactly my point. So why not? We've had Australia Day for 250 years, or however many years. I don't think it was implemented on the first year, but why not pick another day like this day that this massacre happened and call that like something and dedicate that to the takeover of Australia, takeover Aboriginal. We're fighting over a day that in principle really means nothing, except for the
Well, I wouldn't say it means nothing.
Well, that's what I mean. In principle, it means nothing except to each side.
Well, that's right.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
in principle...
well, it doesn't mean nothing to each side. It means everything to each side.
In principle, together as a whole, January 26, 1788... January 26, 1788...
everything to each side. Not nothing to each side. It means everything to each side.
Well,
that's what it means.
When's their first grievance? When does their first grievance start from?
I don't know. But from then.
Well, then...
It'll be from then.
It can't be from then because we just said there were other people that landed on the shore. The Dutch probably slaughtered a bunch of Aboriginal people. Why are we blaming... Why are we blaming Captain Cook and the settlers?
Well, look, it's all... Historically, it all links back to that as being the major one because that was when, the colonisation started. The actual colonisation of what it's become, which is great. Like, it's totally awesome. But, like, for what Australia should have, by all accounts on that first episode, intended to represent, they've ticked lots of boxes. They've started this...
Yeah, well, that was another thing.
This free democracy that never happened anywhere in the world, from convicts. What they say, there was 800 convicts, there was 500... let's say soldiers or people that weren't convicts. So there was
Guardians.
800, yeah. There was 500, from Marines right up to the Captain Phillip. There was 500 of them, but there was 800 convicts. Now, it wasn't equal, but it wasn't far off being equal amount of people, to have started a nation that we've become from that is absolutely amazing, and that is what we're also celebrating. But we also, I think, just have to recognise what the start of the change was for Australian Aboriginals from that same point. And all I'm trying to say is I'm becoming more and more aware of the other side of what that represented. Not to say, we're right, you're wrong, fuck you, we're doing it our way and that's it. There's got to be an acceptance of this is what it became. These things happened. They certainly weren't great, and 100% you totally would not sanction or agree with how if that were to happen again, there's no way you'd stand for it. Well, so there's got to be a balance of what that day represents to both portions of what this country's become. That's all I'm trying to say. And again, I digress back to that Hanson-Mundine interview, where he's very one-eyed, he's very staunch in his belief about what it means for Aboriginals that prescribe to the change, the negative change from what they were used to, where Pauline is more accepting and going, yeah, look, I agree that it wasn't great, but we've got to move on. You just can't keep dragging these fucking bags of stones around because you're going to end up with a fuck back.
Well, that's what
Right?
I'm saying too,
So
but
what
that
is-
goes
so-
for them
so
as
he's-
well as us.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. Well, that's exactly what she meant by saying that. Well, that they weren't her words, but that was what I took from it, and I agree. And you know, together they said something along the lines of, well, that day needs to be recognised as a bit of a day of sorrow and mourning for those that accept that it could be that for our first Australian people, but then the back half of the day, or the very next part of the day, or even the very next day, becomes a celebration of what we've become. And I think that's a pretty mature, modern approach to what Australia Day could represent.
Well,
you know what I mean? There doesn't have to be fighting. And
Jacinta Price doesn't believe that we should change the day.
No, I'm not.
And she's Aboriginal.
And I didn't say change the day. I did not. I don't prescribe to the idea of changing the day. The day's the day. We got married on the 7th of October. Can't change that. It is what it is. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Your birthday's your birthday. You can't change that just because you don't like fucking the sound of it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't change what it was.
That's right.
But how you approach that day can change. How you approach that day can change.
Well, what do you mean? Like, how do we... So we have to give them a day before...
No.
We have to give them a day
No.
before... Well, what are you
No.
talking about then? How do you appease them?
Well, okay, so it's not about appeasing anybody.
Well, it seems to be because they,
No.
they protest with hatred. We don't.
Yeah, no. Well, look, that's fine. You don't get Jacinta Nampijinra Price being hateful. So it's only...
No, because she's on our side.
Hang on a minute, there's no side here.
Well,
This is where you
she's
get
on the conservative side of it.
Nah, see, this is the problem. This is the problem.
Well, this is the conservative
This
point of view.
This is the problem. It's not this way or that way. It's the problem that there is a side that you choose to prescribe to be anti the other one just because you don't like it. The idea is you've got to be accepting of it wasn't good.
And I always have been.
Right, so you share the day. You share it around. You say, right, we accept that it
I'm
wasn't
happy
good.
to share it around,
So
but how do you?
Well, some say some will be mournful, some will be celebratory. You respect what that means for everybody, and it's done. The day's done.
Okay, but Australians that want to go out and fly the flag and march down the street
Can do that.
Hang on, they don't go down the street saying, "Fuck Australia, Australians, white Australia sucks,"
Yeah,
or
but-
white
yeah, but-
Australia
well, hang on.
invaded the
Yeah,
murderers.
Okay, hang on. But people are
We don't do that.
No, we don't. We don't say that. Some
They
might.
they do. They have one of those rallies every year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, the messaging needs to be clearer and clearer and clearer. That it ain't fucking changing. Everybody just has to fucking be more accepting.
But our current administration is not purporting that
Well,
vision.
AKA Tony Abbott, 3-part documentary trying to get some messaging out there. You know,
Tony Abbott is a conservative.
I don't care.
Our current administration is not conservative in any way, shape, or form. Their only job is to appease people so they can keep their power.
Well, that is a problem. Yeah, that is a problem. They're missing the actual, just the middle ground of.
I mean, look at
like,
this.
What's the word?
You and I
Like
didn't even
harmony.
realise that after the Voice failure
Oh, I know, I
at
knew.
the beginning of
Well, South Australia did it about 3 months later.
yeah, and like now we've got to vote for more council members for this thing that I never even wanted.
So yeah, look, it needs to be more. Like the problem is there's too many Darrow bogans in Australia that don't open up their minds or their intellect to listen. They're highly reactive and they're emotionally charged for things that are not necessarily like part of what they even believe the problem is. that's the one major problem we have here, is people.
And now these new speech laws are going to just make that even more advantageous for them because.
Oh no! No.
I don't know.
It needs to people just need to be a little bit more, like, I've had a saying for a long time. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Like, the ratio is double listening, half talking.
I've always heard a saying,
right?
Measure twice, cut once.
Well, it's the same sort of thing. It's like we have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 2 nostrils, but we only have 1 mouth. So there's a reason that the ratio is double for all those other senses except, like, taste and the ability to fucking talk. And that's a big societal problem. So there's not enough listening, there's too much fucking talking.
Here's what I see as the problem. The problem is we have Australia Day, and this other side, which you say is the problem, being that their sides, not them in particular, but being this other side of this argument, they have nothing but vitriol for the day. They want to erase the day, which means erasing our heritage as Australians and as white Australians, right? Now, as you've seen over the last 2 years, this ultra-left takeover of our streets here in America, in all parts of the world.
Australia Day, aren't we?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, you've seen all of these big marches throughout our country. We had Bondi, blah, blah, blah. Now we've got all of these new speech laws, right? But are the speech laws going to be applied equally across the board? So if there is a big protest from these people crying Invasion Day, change the date, right? Are those speech laws going to be applied to those people attacking white Christian Australians who just want to live in peace like originally was intended by the British invaders, right? We, on Australia Day, just want to have a barbie, enjoy the sun, maybe have a swim, within reason if you can. But the world has to keep working.
I'm trying to...
But
I'm trying to,
that's what our side wants to do on Australia Day.
Yeah.
The other side wants to spread hate and vitriol because they cannot get over the fact that, like you said, it ain't changing. Yeah. So rather than say, okay, look, it ain't changing, why don't we come to some kind of compromise with these people that don't have marches and say we hate Aborigines, because we don't, right? Why don't we have a chat with them and say, what can we do? But our government, our current administration, fans the flames of hatred by allowing these things to take place.
Yeah, well, that's the failing. There's no leadership.
It's a big failing, there's no sign of it stopping, not with Invasion Day marches, not with Pakistan marches, or the flavour of the day, which is probably Iran at the moment.
There's zero leadership to get these grassroots problems resolved within the populace.
Now everybody's talking big.
Well, the Italians
they're all
and the Greeks
talking
did
big.
this thousands of years ago. They fixed societal problems.
Yeah.
Just do shit to make the people happy.
Yeah.
Just keep them happy, mate.
And if you can't reign as a democracy, then you reign as an empire.
Well, someone's got to take over.
That's right, and that's that's a big change. And I'm not suggesting. No, it's a good analogy. I'm not suggesting that it happened, but what I am suggesting is a change in this country isn't just a simple, speech law change or speech law adjustment.
Well, that's going way the wrong direction. That's going the total opposite wrong direction.
No, because what I'm saying, what I was saying was there's been big talk about one nation.
Mate, you just got to talk to people like they're humans. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, but you
From
can
government.
you can do that.
Well,
On it. But how often do you get to sit down with Anthony
100%.
Albanese?
Well, 100%. You could talk to someone like humans as a leader of a nation. You could be like relatable, but none of them are relatable to normal people. Normal, like middle of the line, populist people,
No, of course
none of
not.
them are relatable. There's one at the moment who's relatable, and she's winning every poll. You know why? Because she's relatable.
Yeah, she's relatable for sure. She's been relatable for
30 years. Yeah.
But they say
That's how you
that
solve
she's
problems.
her party's gaining momentum.
That's how you solve
but,
problems.
But we've probably discussed this before. Like, what worries me is that she will have to form a coalition with other people to get things done if, by some miracle, she wins to becomes the Prime Minister of Australia. And I think it's pretty much a closed book to say, let's just say it doesn't happen for 5 years.
They're never going to let her
Let's
win.
just say that party doesn't win for another 5 or 10 years.
They're never going to let her win.
It'll be somebody like Barnaby Joyce or somebody else that'll be heading the party because she'll be well into retirement by her 70s.
They're never going to let her win.
And that's what I mean. So it's a rigged system.
100%.
And personally, I think that Anthony Albanese rigged the last election. I think it was stolen. I don't think there's any problem in diddling votes.
The thing, well, every you could go on
You
to
need
say...
to pull that closer to you.
You could go on to say that every Australian election's been rigged, and I'll tell you why. The voting system deems it rigged.
That's right.
Australia's...
But I mean, even if all of the preferences went the way that we wanted them to,
It's totally manipulated.
I'm just saying, even if all the preferences went the way voters wanted them to,
Voters don't even have a fucking clue.
I'm not.
Do
Can
they?
you please just let me finish the sentence?
Well, that's... Okay, come on.
Even if the preferences went the way that Australian voters wanted them to, for
Right.
instance, one vote, one value.
Well, that's not a
Hang
preference
on.
vote then.
Just stop. That's what I'm saying. Even if they changed it so preference votes went the way voters wanted them, one vote, one value.
Okay, so there's
right?
not a preference voting system in that regard, but I know what you're trying to say.
I just said changed it to make it
No
one
preferences.
vote, one value. Right?
Yeah, what you said was make your preference votes go to what? Well, that's
Go the way the voters want them to, which is one vote, one value. That's what Australians want from when they go to vote. They don't like this preference system.
No,
they
because
think
they-
it's shit. Because, like you just said,
No one
nobody
understands
understands it.
They have no
right.
fucking idea
so
what they're doing.
what I'm saying
It's just like it's
is,
all rigged.
even if we changed it from that to that, it could still easily be manipulated by simply paying certain people like they did in America, and it's now proven, to fill in ballot forms.
with the Venezuelan voting machines.
Well, Venezuelan voting machines
Dominion
won't come
voting
into it
machines.
because we're talking about paper ballots, one day of voting, right? And only as we do it now, it's postal votes only if you apply for a postal vote. They don't just hand them out. They don't just send them out in bulk postal votes, right? So if that was to happen, they were to employ people, operators, to sit at home. They give them a pad of 100 ballots in there, 100 ballots for the Senate, 100 ballots for this, and they just sit there all night and they just tick this box and tick that box, or do it if it was preferences, do the preferences the way it needs to go. There is no security, no more security in having paper ballots with one day of voting, because that can be manipulated at any time during the voting season, right? Because, you know, if you're applying for an absentee ballot, you have to apply, I think it's like 2 weeks or 4 weeks in advance before you get it, and then you got to send it in. I can't remember what it was because you had to do it this year. So there's still possibility for rigging, and I think that regardless of what the actual ballots were voted on, because a lot of people were pushing vote independence from, like, put the big two last, and the Greens last, the Nationals last, all of that stuff. Everyone was saying that. All of the podcasters around Australia were saying it. Fuck them. Teach them a lesson. But an overwhelming victory in 2.5 hours, like, polling had literally only closed 20 minutes ago in frickin' Perth, and they were already calling him the winner. So...
With 34% of the primary vote.
Exactly.
The lowest primary vote ever in history.
So this is what I'm saying. He still fucking managed to scrape it in somehow, and it'll be done by 8:30 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah, he's a cunt, I think. The whole fucking system.
That's what I'm saying. The whole system. So voter ID is something that has to be implemented, and we don't have it. No matter what they say, we don't have
You
it.
got the old foolscap bit of paper with the lead pencil and a ruler.
Yeah. The only computerised
Hey,
part
Mr.
of it
Kirkham, are you here? Yeah, I'm
is
here.
the only computerised part of it is you signing in and confirming your details. You're not asked to validate them with any form of ID.
Yeah. The only computerised part of it is looking on your maps on your phone of where to vote.
Yeah, well, there's lots of those places. And I've said, you know, and there's another form of election fraud if you wanted to, if you're really desperate or you're getting paid really good money, you just go to all the bloody election things in your area and put in a ballot and just... Because each person's got their own book.
Well, that's like I said, it's a ruler with a lead pencil. It's not like your
and
name
they
gets
ask
crossed
you,
off a database that
that's
affects
right. And when
every
you go
electorate
there,
voting area.
what do they ask you?
Where do you live? What's your name?
And have you voted in this election
have you
today?
voted? No.
No, haven't voted.
Haven't voted.
You're not including the other 4 places that I stopped, are you?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a total farce.
So it's a total
It is.
farce.
It's a total fucking farce. You know,
And
it is. It's a fuck up.
I think that documentaries like that, even though you think they're slightly twisted to a conservative
What
British,
documentaries?
the one that we just watched.
Yeah, I never said anything about conservative. I just saying that it's. I feel like the explanation of what happened has only been told from the official documents, which is what any ex-prime minister or anyone of any position in this country can ever go off. They can't go on anecdotal things. They can only go on
Okay, but
official
so why
documents.
is it different for the other side? Why can't they go off? The official documents are the official documents. So
Well, I have no official documents, that's right. Like you said, history's written by the winners. You know? Blackfellas never even had a written language.
well, that's right, for a start.
They have no written language. None. There's no letters.
But as you saw in
there's
that
no numbers.
documentary, when we're talking about this living in amity with each other, there was pictures, there was drawings put up as laws of if a black man shoots a white man, a white man. That's right. They showed that both parties would be tried or punished the same way.
History's written by the winners, and I can be sceptical, and I am. And I would be, and you would be, if the fallout 200 years later is chaos and carnage on the streets of Australia. Of course everything's going to say it's all rosy.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. What's changed in the last 50 or 60 years?
Yeah, I
because
don't
we
really
never
know.
had that.
Yeah, I remember growing up as a kid, it was never a problem.
Exactly. That's
Although-
my point.
Or maybe as a kid, I guess we were sheltered from it, maybe.
How?
Well, I don't know, because it wasn't in our faces. Like when it was Australia Days, we were kids. It was all street parties, water balloons, swimming pools,
Beach.
barbecues, drinking
Yeah.
beers,
Well-
listening to fucking Cold Chisel, Aussie Flag. You know, it was all that cool. That's how I always knew it. And it wasn't until, I reckon, for me, it didn't really start getting a little bit controversial. Even years in Kalgoorlie, when we lived there, it wasn't a problem.
I didn't think so.
For years, it wasn't a problem.
I've never had a problem with Anzac Day or anything in Kalgoorlie.
And then, of course, every day is a fucking problem.
That's right. Every day that we want to, like, hold sacred They want to attack.
I'm trying to think.
And that makes it look like it's just a vendetta.
Yeah, but hang on.
Doesn't matter what it was,
so
they will attack
are you
it.
talking about?
Huh?
What they are you talking about? Blackfellas?
No, the other side, the left. The do-gooders, the liberal side of people.
So anyone that doesn't agree with you is they?
No, liberals, the do-gooders.
Yeah, so anyone that... Yeah, okay.
Well, you've got to admit that you think some people are do-gooders and they should just keep their noses out of it.
Yeah.
Because things are working perfectly,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
why do you have to,
Yeah, but-
stir up the pot? That's
Yeah,
what
but-
I'm saying.
Yeah, but I just don't give a fuck about them to let it bother my shit.
Well, when it does bother you, that pisses me off when people say that. Oh, well, it doesn't affect me, so why should I care?
Well, yeah, but not on everything. I mean, a couple of
I'm
things,
not
maybe.
saying on everything. I'm saying about days that we hold sacred,
Yeah,
like Anzac Day and frickin' this
but
day.
even
And
Australia Day, I just do my own Australia Day anyway, which was shit this year, I've got to tell you. So we're up the Pilbara. So I'll tell you what happened. It's the 26th of January, right? So about the 23rd of January, which, let me have a look at my calendar, because it was a couple of days before. The 26th this year, I think, was a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Because our shift changed, I reckon. Let's have a look. The 26th was a Monday. So I feel like, it was Saturday. It was the 24th. On the 24th of January at the mine site where I'm working was this big hoopla, a big hoo-ha. So at the wet mess, we had a big outdoor barbecue, which you'd totally expect as like an Australia Day celebratory idea, which they do quite often have theme nights at mine sites in Australia. So this was the 24th of January, 2 days before Australia Day. We had emu kebabs, which everyone gave me shit for eating because that was the night I started to get crook. That's the 26th. How long ago is that? Sorry, the 24th. That's 7, 8, 9, 10 days ago.
oh,
I fell
excuse
ill.
me.
And it was after eating them emu things. They had kangaroo burgers, they had these beef snags, they had this tomato relish. So it was like an Aboriginal food-themed meat fest, right? Barbecues, all these bain-maries. There was people everywhere, all these clean shirts I've never seen before, all come out of the woodwork to the wet mess for this barbecue.
Was that during the shutdown? It wasn't?
Yeah, just right at the end of it. So then, that's in the wet mess. But in the dry mess, when you walked into the dry mess, all over the ceiling was Australiana-themed street signs. You know, there was a sign that said Melbourne, Perth, Darwin, King's Cross. You know, there's all this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And from memory, there was some Australia flags and maybe some tinsel, and there was a bit of fanfare.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the 24th of January, 2 days before Australia Day. So we had our beers as we normally would. And then the 26th come around, actual Australia Day. And it was 46 fucking degrees that day. And it was hot as fuck. Anyway, so we knock off for a few coldies. And,
Expecting some hoopla.
well, it's fucking Australia Day. So one of the boys at work, Ivan, he's got this little, $2 shop Aussie flag, with a little white plastic.
Like that one up there.
Yeah, about double the size of that, but that style thing.
Not upside down.
No. And he had it cable tied to the two-way radio antenna on his ute all day because it was Australia Day. Whereas if you go to my ute, I've got an Australian flag on the dash of my ute every fucking day. Right? Anyway, not to big note myself, but that's what I do. I've also got an very first 13-star American flag. This is a T-shirt I found in the rag bin that hangs down over my centre console to keep all the dust and shit off me.
And you've got an American flag on your head that you would have worked too.
Yeah, and I found another one the other day, and now it's on the centre console lift-up thing, anyway. But, so Ivan's bought his little flag off his ute, and he stuck it in the picnic table at the wedding. And that was the only bit of Australiana at the wet mess, at the pub, on a mine site, in the Pilbara of Western Australia, on Australia Day. Not one... Anyway, so what one of the boys told me, I don't know how dinkum this is or not, that all Australia Day type celebrations on all the mine sites across Western Australia are being shit canned because it's now no longer appropriate Couldn't fucking believe it. So then when my other mate walked past, this guy Bevan, he's a Kiwi, so good. He walked past, how you going, Bev? And he's got a few cans of drink in his hand. How you going, Bev? What are you doing? Happy Australia Day, I yelled out to him. And he was a fair way away. He couldn't quite hear me, but I was being loud, to yell to him. Happy Australia Day, Bev. He says, what? I can't hear you. I said, happy fucking Australia Day, you deaf Kiwi cunt. Right?
Should have warned me. I could have censored you on that one.
Right? Which is totally okay, because we're all shit stirring. But of course, you get all these funny looks. Oh, fuck, you can't fucking say that. You can't be so offensive, you're going to get in trouble. And I'm like,
Yeah, but maybe they were talking about...
Yeah, maybe. It was pretty funny anyway. And, but the point of it was that it was really low-key on the day, and all the boys that were there were all commenting, like, how fucking shit is this?
Well, so that's what I'm saying. I was going to say, so how did it make you feel that knowing that it was Australia Day, and because of some cultural hate on a certain side,
sort of just,
you weren't allowed to celebrate it?
Okay, so it's not, you don't know for sure that's that. Everyone just sort of unknowingly presumes that you can't because it's seen as not being right.
Well, who's everyone? You asked me who they was.
The whole fucking... The
corporate world.
The establishment, that runs the place.
Right.
Didn't sanction to do anything on Australia Day when they did it 2 days before because, if we do it now, it's okay. Like,
do you think...
It's just fucked.
So they had, like, flags and stuff there? No, the 2 days before.
Well, to be honest, I don't actually remember seeing flags.
Okay. So let's just say, for instance...
No, I don't actually remember seeing flags.
You knowing that you were going to be flying in and you'd be there for Australia. Let's just say you flew in with a suitcase full of Australiana.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you decided that night that you were going to knock off early and go to the mess and set up an Australia Day, like, area out in the wet mess.
Yeah.
Would you have been reported for it?
No, I don't think so. No. So that said flag, that little one, that I haven't put in the... When he left, I said, don't forget your flag.
Pull your mic closer.
I said, don't forget your flag. He said, no, it's all right. I said, oh, whatever. Knowing full well I was going to take it. So on my room, on our doors of our room, when you open them right up, there's a little hook that hangs on the wall that you can hook into your door to stop the wind blowing it shut. So that little loop that's on your door, the little flag thing fits really neatly inside. So I hung that little flag on my door from the 26th until the 30th when I left, when I was on night shift. So I was hanging in my door for the last 4 days of my swing. 17-day swing I done. So when I left, I took it out of the door and I...
Yes, that's right. He said 17-day swing.
Chucked it in my suitcase that I left in the... So I've still got it. Because I thought...
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to... I thought, well, that'll come in handy for the next job I'm at for Australia Day. It's already in my bag. Because I've already got... Because what I said to the boys when I sat out at the end of the table, picnic table thing where we are, and I haven't put the little flag on the table, in the gap between the boards. And the one I've got is about that big, that is on the dash of my ute. And I leave it there every day. It's there all year, all the time. Australian flag on my dash. And I said to Benny and a couple of the blokes, I said, oh, fuck, I should go and get the one out of my ute and we'll cable tie it up in a tree and that, because it's a bit bigger and people would see, not the little one. But I sort of couldn't be fucked because it was an effort. I had to walk all the way out the car park and get my ute and get cable ties and find a stick and, I had to do a bit of work when we already had a little flag on the table, so I was happy enough. But it really struck me, and the boys said, fuck, isn't this weird? Because we all commented that, like, the 2 nights before, it was all, on the Saturday. It was. But I'll tell you something else good that happened, and sort of funny and whatever, and I think it's fine. So at the camp where we work, or where we live, a lot of the staff, and I mean a lot, like I would say 80% of the staff are Spanish. Well, they're all Spanish backpackers. Blokes, chicks, whatever. And you see
Doing what jobs?
Or cleaning, kitchen, camp jobs, right? So, and they all sit around the dinner tables and have these big fucking...
paellas and shit.
No, we'll have their meals, and they're all laughing and joking, all speaking Spanish. The guys knock around with them and learn Spanish. Like, it's funny. So anyway...
Well, that's integrating, isn't it?
So, on Australia Day, they're all playing soccer, or football. So we've got this big enclosed soccer pitch.
Yeah.
With a 8-foot, 10-foot fences around it. Well, there'd be 20 of them all playing footy, soccer, on Australia Day. And there's like 10 yobbo Aussie miners drinking beers, listening to... I had my phone going with a bit of music playing and stuff, watching all these Spaniards all play soccer on Australia Day. It was the weirdest fucking Australia Day ever. Because there was no Barbie, there was... The drillers, God bless them. God bless the drillers. The
ones that fuck up the machinery that you also have to fix.
Yeah, whatever. But there was like 8 or 10 of them come up and had beers in the weddy.
Yeah.
Not where we were. We were down on the grass. They sat up on the undercover bit. But I went and said hello to them and that and wished them all happy Australia Day. But the place was fucking dead. On Australia Day. Like, there was about 6 of us having a beer, and there was probably 8 of them up there. And there's a couple of randoms around. All the regulars were just there. But there was no extras having a bit of a hit out because it was Australia Day. It was...
What ratio of the workforce up there, like your side of the workforce, not their side, not the cleaning side or the logistics side, what ratio is white, let's just say for the sake of argument, white Australians?
Oh, fuck, it's getting less and less.
So that could be a reason why there was probably not as many people there.
Well, I tell you, you go into our crew bar and... Well, I'm trying to think of how many people are there in the morning. Big crew, like 20 to 35 people in the maintenance department, depending on what day it is in the roster and the swing and fly-ins and fly-outs and all that shit. But I'll tell you, there's a large component of African mechanics and a large component of Filipino mechanics. Large.
Are they good at their job?
Yeah, but I mean, like, all the Philos sit over there and they all work together, and the Africans get all grouped together and put on jobs together, and then the whiteys are making up the balance.
Right, so in that scenario, let's just say that your mine site was Terra Australis. Do you get along, or is there knife fights? Do the Filipinos come at you with spears, say, you saved my seat?
Shit.
So,
it's funny, we've got this awesome service.
So why is it unbelievable to a certain segment of the population?
Mamba. You know, that snake, that really deadly snake.
Why is it unbelievable for a certain segment of the nation to want to cause...
I don't know.
Trouble between
I don't know. I don't understand what drives the negativity. I mean, I sort of do. They're just pissed off.
But pissed off about what?
Aren't
they entitled to exactly the same lifestyles that we're entitled to today?
Well, I tell you, these blokes that I work with that come from like the other side of the world, that came here with absolutely fuck all, right? Except trades. Right, they've got some training, but they give up everything and leave Tanzania and Zimbabwe and Kenya and Zambia and Manila and little islands scattered through the Asian
and let's just add, they do it the right way. They don't just jump on a boat and land on the shore and then get a job.
Well,
these are proper immigrants with working visas and whatnot.
Well, the thing is, to get a job in any Australian mine site, you have to be eligible to work in Australia. Like, you can't... I mean, that's just the rules, right?
Yeah.
So they get here with... They're leaving a total different world behind, And they're coming over with missuses and babies and kids, and some of them just single blokes, whatever. But they're getting the work, mate. They're getting the jobs, and they're doing the job. And they're good blokes.
Yeah, but they're prepared to assimilate. They're prepared to, like, not hold grudges. That's the difference. Like, these people that are against Australia Day, it feels like they just want to hold a grudge.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
They're just like negative sad sacks.
Also, then on whose part is the fault? Is it the fault of those that just want to have a peaceful Australia Day and have a fucking lamb chop and spend the day at the beach? Or is it the fault? And I know you don't want to assign blame, but there's got to be a point where you got to assign blame to someone somewhere. And you might say, oh, to the victor goes the spoils. But what spoils do we have that they aren't entitled to? Just the same as we are today. What difference does it make that 1788 was the day that we decided, that Captain Cook decided to set foot ashore? The history is the history. Why are we 200 years later still got this thing in our mind that somebody owes somebody something?
Don't know.
Well, therein lies the mystery.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't know. That's a question I
Also,
can't
if you look at it that way,
I don't know nothing.
Okay, so, well, according to them, you do.
No, I don't.
That's the thing. You've got to take a side. You said you don't want to take a side. But you've got to take a side because they think that we owe them something. That's their whole thing.
No, they think the government
They want reparations. Well, where does the government going to get the money from?
Us.
Right. So we owe them something.
Maybe
White men owe them something.
Maybe that's what the hard line, think. Maybe.
Well, it's not just the hard line. It's all these people that go out and try and retaliate against Australia Day.
Yeah.
So they do it with, they think is a just cause in their minds.
They need to get out
but
of the
it's
fucking...
like, that's right.
They need to get out of the city and go dig a hole and do work.
Well, it's not just, well, that, you know, these activists, that is their work. That's their whole life is activists.
They need to go and drive
being
a truck
activists.
up the bush or fix a broken down ute or something.
But it's not, but it's a problem that's perpetually getting worse, not better, after 200 and nearly 50 years or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is getting worse. I think the ability to speak your mind with no reparation is getting worse. And I think that's what's
It's 100% worse. That's what these speech laws have done.
Yeah.
And we're just like, you want to blame the Brits for the invasion. Well, you can blame the Brits for the fact that you can't speak your mind anymore too, because we're following in their footsteps.
Well, this is what I said. It's the Poms that fuck it up every time.
Every time, and I don't disagree with you. And I've had podcasts that have railed on the British.
Yeah.
So.
And it's not that I don't like English people.
No, I've got relatives that live there.
Well, you know, but like, you've got to believe me, people. But the way that the aristocracy of the English tradition...
The elites.
...overrules the world, or overlords the world through multiple takeovers and, you know, imperialistic takeover.
In saying that, in today's
They've
world...
fucked it up time and time again.
In saying that, though, in today's world, they have very little of the power that they once wielded. The Brits.
I wouldn't be so
sure
about that.
Well, no, because if you look at Europe as a whole, who has the most sway in Europe? It's certainly not Keir Starmer.
It's fucking
certainly
Putin.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. And
I
China.
like him. I like Putin.
Oh, Jesus, be careful. That's instant cancellation.
No, I like him.
It's Russia and China. They've got the most sway, and Iran. Like, if you look at Saudi Arabia and all of those places, Iran is the biggest threat. And now we're going to be controversial, but Israel, for fuck's sake, Israel has got their dirty little fingers in all of these pies.
Yeah. Well, Israel's a long way from Australia.
So's fucking Iran.
Yeah.
So's England, for that matter.
I want to take this opportunity to say, have a big shout out to my mate, my lad, who's currently in Saudi Arabia. Farking. How are you doing, Farking?
He's probably not watching.
He's a good man.
But you know what I mean? That's historically, the Brits were the most powerful empire in the world.
Yeah.
Now look at, they're just mealy mouthed fucking...
Once upon a time, it was the Italians.
Once upon a time, it was the Italians, many thousands of years
and
ago.
Maybe before
But
that was the Persians.
perpetually, things change.
Yeah.
Now it's America and Russia and China and Iran, all these places that we just mentioned.
Well, they all equally flex their muscles, don't they?
Australia has gone the way of England. They've become a bunch with our administration, our government has become a bunch of mealy-mouthed bitches that want to kneel at the foot of the king and the globalists and the George Soroses and Bill Gateses of the world and scream climate change and all of those things that like I said...
They must be bored, eh? They must be so bored.
Like I said, they do it...
How bored must they be?
They do it to impel votes from people.
Well, today, my whole day revolved around getting that car fixed and putting that thermostat in that Jeep. Like, that was my whole thing. Like, these people that come up with all this shit must be so bored. Have they got nothing else productive to do?
Well, they don't do it. They don't even do it. They get their assistants and their bloody staffers to write all of these things up.
I could fix a car. I had meetings with financial guys and we made plans and we, didn't we?
Well,
like, what the fuck are they doing all day? Come up with some shit to make people upset.
Well, here's the thing about what you say there. Their job, our job was that. Your job was getting on a plane and going to work in a couple of days and spending 14 days there and busting your ass and then coming home and mowing the fucking lawn. Their job...
It's just coming up with shit.
On the other hand, is coming up with ways to protect us, right? That's their whole job.
Yeah, I don't need that.
We pay them.
Yeah, I don't need them to do that for me.
And like, you just got a summary sort of quotation on how much tax you'll be paying. I won't say it because it's an exorbitant and ridiculous amount of tax you'll be paying, right? But in saying that, that money and everyone else's tax money goes to pay those people to sit around all day and come up with stupid ideas to tell us how that we should be living, and they expect us to keep going to work, busting our asses and paying them money in advance, mind you.
Yeah.
Like, not like some countries where you don't pay your tax until tax time. They take it out in advance and then you're obligated to do your tax because you want your fucking tax refund.
Yeah. Well, shit.
So they know that we're not happy with them. They know that all of this stuff, that what we talked about tonight, riots of all sorts of reasons, for all, not riots, but mass protests for all sorts of these reasons, that it's perpetually getting worse, not better.
Yeah.
And
that's what I mean. People must be that fucking bored.
And like Americans say,
I don't have shit to do.
Like, well, except for the likes of Rosie O'Donnell and stuff like that have escaped to Ireland and places like that.
But like all these,
but Ireland's like one of the worst places to live now as far as immigrants. No, but hang on, let me finish. Like those people in America that say, if America falls, where do we go from here? Because the rest of the world is fucked already. Okay? Same with us. That's sort of an attitude that we've got as well. Because as Australians, as like born and bred here Australians, used to this climate, used to this lifestyle, good go-getting, hard-working Australians, where else can we go to find what we have here if this falls into like...
Or America.
No, but America, if it comes to that, America will have to like put a cap on people emigrating over there.
I don't know.
So where do we go?
Stay here.
That's right.
Go to Northern Territory.
And do what? Slaughter more Aboriginals?
No, I don't slaughter anybody.
Well,
what are you talking about?
But I'm just saying, like, where do you go from Australia if it falls? Because if it falls here, it's anarchy.
Oh, we're fucked. No cunt here's got any balls. No one's got any balls here. No one's got the stones to stand up for themselves anymore.
It's anarchy. Because it's just the government run rampant over every right and you know, privilege that we have. Whether you're black, white, green or yellow. The government will take over, and this is what I say. They're moving towards socialism. I think you can agree with that, right? Now, what are the younger generations that are going to have to live with socialism even know about socialism? Because in my opinion, they think socialism is like akin to a bunch of people from all different races and genders, so to speak, getting together at a nightclub or something. That's, to them, is socialism. They don't understand that socialism is government control of your assets. Like, you will own nothing, and you'll be happy.
Well,
that's what they want.
They can't afford nothing, so to them, that's how it's going to be.
And that's the thing. They can't afford nothing because why?
It's because of the way it is. It's been turned
but
that way.
who's made it? That's right.
Yeah.
So the only way they could afford what we were able to achieve is by ousting the government that made it more difficult for them to achieve it.
Well, yes and no. I mean, they can do it. They've got to get off their fucking arse and have a red hot go too, you know.
Yes,
Like,
and a lot of them... There's a lot of them like that need to do that.
They just don't have the fucking stones, mate. They don't have the stones. They don't have what it takes. They don't have it upstairs to grow the stones.
But isn't that sad and terrifying to you?
Yeah, I blame myself.
Well, yeah, we have to blame ourselves to a degree.
Well,
but it's also on the government. Like, we didn't take away their ability to work and still not be able to fucking afford to buy a home or get a house, or get a car lease, or
well,
we didn't do that to them.
There's a whole massive skill set that just seemed to get vaporised. I don't know how. I don't know why. I really don't.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because again, the government started pushing human studies and this studies and gender studies and all of those sorts of study things instead of mechanic apprentices, carpenters, plumbers,
lumberjacks.
Exactly. That's exactly where it happened. Started in education, where it always starts.
Yeah.
We breed out. We've bred out in the last 2 generations. We've bred out hard Aussie working doers, like he was talking about in the documentary.
Yeah.
Go-getters. We've got nothing here. We might as well make something of it. These people, they say, we've got nothing and we still can't afford to live.
No.
Well,
we don't have a crack.
There's a problem there, isn't there?
Yeah. I don't have the answers, but I can sort of see the result of the problem because I'm living it.
Yeah.
Like on the...
We're living it with our generation of kids.
Well, yeah, and I'm seeing it with some that are half having a crack in the workforce that haven't just... And I'm thinking, fuck, I remember being your age and fuck, mate, we're doing a lot more than what you're fucking doing. Yeah, but then, hey, the blokes that are in their 80s now probably looking at me going, mate, pull your fucking head in. What are you doing? You know.
Well, I don't think a lot of them would look at you and say that.
No, but you know what I mean? Like every layer down, like, seems to put shit on the one below that, you know, when I was your age, you know, that old story.
Yeah, but in response to that, it's opposite as well for, like, the reverse way up. They always blame us for everything. Like, oh, it's your fault that we can't do this.
Yeah,
and,
no, I never
you know,
said that.
don't compare my life to your life. Like, don't say when you were my age.
Yeah, I never said that. Ever, never once.
You never said that to your parents?
No.
I never said it to my parents either, but our parents were a lot stricter.
Or any of the older guys that I worked with.
But this is what liberalism brings you.
Never.
This is what liberalism brings you. Like,
you
wanting
listened,
to
listened and went, maybe he's got something there.
Well,
you know, I never ever, and that's just me. But I'd say most ones I know were the same.
Look, in our lives as young teenagers and growing into adults, we've all done fucking stupid things. Thank the Lord that there was no goddamn internet when we did those stupid things, because we'd probably be paying for them right now. Right? But I'm not saying anyone of any race, creed or religion is perfect. And within those three things, there's sects of people that are definitely not perfect, that are downright evil in all sects, religions, what I just said, right? But the mass consensus throughout the last, I don't know, century, maybe even 50 years, 80 years, the mass consensus has been to get along with all of your people.
Well, that's
black, white.
Yeah, well, that's just good, being a good human, isn't it?
That's right. Why can't we all progress to a place where we're, rather than left versus right or green versus, you know, meat eaters, whatever, why can't we all just like get along, like we get along with Phil, who doesn't touch meat and is a vegan and would do anything to convince us to be vegans, but he hasn't so far. We still get along.
Yeah, fair.
On a greater scale, on these bigger issues,
Yeah,
there's
so-
got to be a way to get along.
Yeah, but you see, well, Phil's a good cunt. That's why.
That's
we get,
right.
we
That's
get
what I'm
along.
saying. On these greater issues,
And the funny
hopefully
thing is,
Pauline Hanson's
Phil-
One Nation is good cunts,
And
and they
Phil-
can find a
Phil-
way to get along.
Phil, for those that wouldn't know the bloke or who he is, might see him and
Perceive
think,
him as one thing.
yeah, because he has certain beliefs and he dresses a certain way, but he thinks all that fancy stuff's all just a load of shit. You know,
He's a very conservative hippie.
He's his own animal. You know, he's good.
As like faith,
I mean,
deep faith.
Well,
He
he's
has
got his
beliefs.
He's got his belief system that he lives by,
Mhm.
and he doesn't jump up and down and force it on anybody. If you ask him, he'll tell you why.
Yep.
That's what he does, and so he should be able to. If someone says, "How come you wear tie-dye clothes?" He says, "Oh, because I like the spiritual connection, and I see life as colour, and I'm free and easy, and I'm just cool as fuck, and that's how I like to dress." Like, how can you argue with that? Like, he's just a cool, normal dude. You know, fuck me, he's a truck driver.
So why can't we get like, I don't know, 400 Phils that can run government? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's a whole different animal, talking about running countries and running governments, because that's, yeah, you just, I say to these blokes at work, you know, like I said to the old mate today on the phone, remember I said you can't keep everyone happy all the time.
No, and
That's the problem.
it's unrealistic to think that you can.
Yeah.
But the right selection of people with the right selection of advisors that have good intentions for Australians and Australia should be able
Should
to
be able
make
to
this a prosperous
find
country.
some sort of balance to make it good, yeah.
There should be some way to not outperform America, but become parity with America as one of the best trade economic countries in the world.
Well, look, our population holds us back, but we've got significant
Resources.
Yeah, but you couldn't be parity, but like
No, but
the
I'm
word
talking about
is,
in spirit, like
in
they're
ratio.
strong and they're strong.
Yeah, but like per head of capita and in ratio of what we've got available to us, we could be in an entirely different position.
Economically, 100% we could. If we were to utilise the minerals and resources that we've got in
the
this
land,
country.
Mate, the fucking land. Fucking hell.
Well,
the
you know.
water and the land that we have. My God. You know, we got land.
Again, we got the do-gooders that stop you from doing anything.
Mate, we got land as far as the eye can see, for as far as the eyes can see it. And we've got water dripping off the fucking rock when it rains, and it all just fucks off out of the ocean. and we don't harness it. We don't we've got a really, really, really strong agricultural base, like really strong.
Yep.
And some of the strictest biosecurity laws in the world. I would say that without
Sam would say that.
Too much like controversy that I could be wrong. I'd say we've got probably some of the strictest biodiversity. That's the word, isn't it? Biosecurity, sorry, type laws that we have to manage our fruit, vegetable, and beef industry, or meat industry, milk, everything. Like, it's super highly regulated, which sort of works against us in lots of ways. But what it's done is it's built this sort of seemingly bulletproof, high quality primary production. That's without harnessing all of the water resource that we actually do have. We've already got that. And we're living in one of probably the most arid places
during one of our greatest influx of immigration influxes was when the Snowy River project was like taken on.
Yeah, I mean that's a significant water source when the snow melts. But I'm talking about the Ord River.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying that's the last time we took on such.
I've always banged on about the water up north here, about the fresh water supply up north. Like when the wet season comes up north and it floods, and North Queensland's no different. The whole east coast is not that much different. Like the fresh water supply that Australia's got, the Great Artesian Basin, all up through Coobpeedy.
Compare that.
East of Coobpeedy.
Compare harnessing that to the Snowy River project, and imagine economically jobs, farming land that can be irrigated.
Yeah, that's what I'm
but
saying.
harnessing the water, building the dams, creating all of that stuff, also prime jobs.
Yeah.
Be able to employ more people in these positions that similar to what you're doing, similar to like all sorts of infrastructure.
Oh yeah, the food bowl would just be phenomenal.
That's right.
And don't worry, I think China's got its eye on Australia for that exact
Of course
purpose.
they have.
Well, because we are a food bowl.
They are. They're our biggest adversary to take over our country.
They can't produce enough food to feed their population on their land.
Of course not.
They can't. That's why we're beholden to their trade.
That's right. And one day, very soon, you could even say it's happening now, they're going to be doing what the Germans did, looking for living space.
Yeah.
And guess where the closest big fucking ass block of land is?
Yeah. Well, that's a possibility. That's right. Yeah.
So, it's pretty grim
there might be
if we don't figure out a way to get along.
There might be a white fella invasion day that everyone will start arguing about, and then we'll see who's got what to say about what that means. Because
the Chinese come and they change it from Australia Day to...
The Chinese come and take over, and then they start celebrating the day that happened, and what do all us white fellas do? Just shut up and say nothing.
Well, we don't let it happen for a start.
No, that's right. Well, so we got a different opportunity. That's right. They would have tried to not let it happen, and they only had sticks. They had guns. Right. We've only just. We don't really. One could say we don't even have guns.
Well, we have got.
Compared to what they've got.
Touch wood, we've got the backing of America and the NATO countries.
But you see what I'm trying to say.
But none of that's guaranteed anyway these days. Like, these places could turn on a dime and say, nah, we're kind of busy at the moment. We can't send you any ships or planes or bombs.
Do your best for a couple of days, and then we'll see what happens. Anyway, we'll have to wait and see on that. Hopefully we don't have to wait and see.
Yeah, well, hopefully we don't have to see at all, let alone wait and see.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
like I said, if it does come to that, then Australians better find some fucking balls and fight for the country that they proclaim to have loved for the last 200 years.
Yeah. Well, I'll fight for it. I'll fight for it.
I'll fight for it too, but will the Aboriginals fight alongside us,
I think so.
I think they would.
Yeah, 100%. I reckon they would.
So, you know, and even if they, let's just imagine they had to fight alongside us with sticks and rocks.
Well, they'd do.
They'd do that.
Yeah, I'd do that too if that's all we got left. You know.
Because when fundamentally what it comes down to is after 250 years of us melding with each other, we can get along. Like Jacinta Price said, we can do it. We can do it if we do it respectfully, like you said. We've got to be respectful of it.
100%.
They've got to be respectful of our feelings too.
Yep.
So it's a two-way street, and we can do it.
Yeah.
And together, then we can fight off places like China.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah,
So-
I've got no dramas with that.
Me neither. Anyway, well, tomorrow we have got, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan and my stupid setup doesn't screw up again for some reason, just decides to fuck up, we've got a panel show. It'll be coming earlier than this started. This is more of an early American time now. But we will be doing our panel show tomorrow at around about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will have our special guest, Christopher Kennedy. He's our brother-in-law. We like to keep it in the family here. And, of course, hopefully our usual panel of guests will arrive. Everybody's at work, so there could be a scattering of people coming in and out at different times, just to let you know. But, again, touch wood, we're going to be in the same place and coming to you live again tomorrow with a whole range of different views on and opinions on what's been happening across Australia and the world over the last few weeks, because it's been over a year since we've had a panel show. Did you know that? It's been over a year since we've had a panel show.
Time flies.
So
Time flies when you're up the bush, eh?
well, and overseas and in America and all of that stuff that we've been doing. So hopefully it should be a good get-together, guys. And I think we will end it here now. Hope you learned something about how we feel about our country and in Australia and what we've sort of been wrestling with over the last, say, decade, 2 decades. And I'll hopefully come back to you with the rest of the series. It might just be me on my own. Maybe if Adam's still here. Wednesday night we might bring you the second part and have another chat. But we'll do it a bit earlier. Anyway, thanks again for joining us here at Bunker Studios. And we will catch you tomorrow night. Adam, say goodbye.
Goodbye, Adam.
Goodbye, Adam.
See you later, everyone. Thanks for hanging out and watching the doco, part 1 of 3-part. If you want to see more, we'll be back when Lizzie said next couple of nights. We'll get Cricko and probably Phil and some of the panel down here. Might be a bit of a laugh. We haven't been together for ages, so highly likely there'll be some shenanigans. Steve will probably turn up with a bit of flat Earth theory, and who knows what Phil might bring.
I've missed the flat Earth theory, I have to admit.
Yeah, it'll be good fun.
Okay. All right, guys. We are going to end the show here. Thanks again for joining, and we will see you tomorrow. The same place, not the same time. Remember, keep the faith, follow the facts, find the fight. Mega out, guys. Bye-bye.